State regulation blocks some high school football players from wearing padded helmet covers, which the NFL requires players use during practice.
In fact, ESPN reports that the Saints' Chris Olave is considering wearing one Sunday against the Panthers. Local parents question why professionals get to use this extra layer of protection, but their kids can't. Here's Rob Krieger's new investigation targeting safety.
There was the Jamboree game. It was just during a normal play. He had a hit. People piled on him. Blacked out for a minute. It was terrifying.
Watching helplessly from the bleachers during the preseason Jamboree, Erin Joseph knew her son Jared was not okay.
He looked like he was walking, like he was trudging through like water.
Jared, poised to start at center for the Willow Lions in his senior season, wouldn't return to the game.
It's the disaster nightmare thing that you don't want to happen. You just don't want your kid to be hurt.
Joseph took Jared to the emergency room where doctors diagnosed him with a concussion, an injury that would force him to reconsider his future on the field.
He really was weighing the consequences of getting another concussion in this senior year.
A week later, Joseph says an MRI revealed a spinal injury, sidelining Jared for the season.
He was the most important part to our team.
Lions quarterback Jake Guichet knows the impact a player like Jared makes. A sturdy offensive lineman is often the key to a clean pocket.
To see him go down before the season and then hear that he's probably not going to be able to play at all was, devastating for us.
Jared is a vocal leader. He's one of the best guys in the weight room. He's a coach at heart. Quick, boom, good shot.
Willow head coach J.J. Smith, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs before starting his coaching career, looks for players like Jared to set the tone between the hash marks.
He's been through the heat and in the grind for 3 years, and he was the low man on the totem pole, and now his time this year was to come and lead.
But between season-ending injuries and concussions like Jared suffered earlier this year, Smith says more parents are apprehensive to let their children risk potentially life-altering injuries.
We've seen a decline in our numbers because a lot of parents just don't want them to play high school football because of the concussions.
I didn't want him to play at all anymore, but how do you tell your son that? It was just like, because it's something that they are so passionate about, and yet it's also risky.
In football, collision is what you want at certain times. You need to stop someone from movement. You collide with them. So injuries or collision is inevitable.
Dr. Shannon Good, a primary care sports medicine physician with Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute, sees collision-related injuries like concussions in every sport, but most often in football.
When it comes to protective gear in sports, there are going to be injuries. How do we prevent them from being severe? How do we prevent them from being life-threatening or life-altering?
Guardian caps are lightweight, one-size-fits-all football helmet covers for practice. They reduce 20 to 33% of the impact, depending on the speed and the location.
In 2010, Guardian Sports created a soft-shell helmet called a Guardian cap in an attempt at increasing protection from the inevitable impacts.
Well, the theory behind a helmet in football is almost like the same theory of wearing your seatbelt when you're in the car. Adding a Guardian cap is like the airbag in the car. It's an extra layer of protection to hopefully prevent us from developing severe injury when we do suffer a collision or trauma.
That theory helped Guardian Caps win the first NFL Head Health Tech Challenge in 2017, securing an investment from the league as it pushed to develop improved protective equipment.
I first saw it at Kansas State. They had them, during practice, and then I saw them trickling into the NFL. Guys wearing them, for every practice.
By 2022, the NFL mandated Guardian caps for linemen, linebackers, and tight ends during training camp. In 2023, the league expanded their mandate to include all practices throughout the season and added running backs and fullbacks to the mandatory list. Then this year, the NFL included wide receivers and defensive backs and began allowing players to wear a Guardian cap in games. Saints fans spotted it earlier this month when Tampa's Luke Gadecki wore the cap during the Bucs' win over the Saints in the Dome.
You see the clips where they have these things on their helmet, and then looking into it more, I looked, see if we could get those things.
Coach Smith says thanks to a Willow alumni working with the Saints and backup quarterback Jake Haener, Willow was gifted 70 Guardian caps over the summer, enough to outfit the entire squad.
The kids were wearing them all summer for 7-on-7s. Some kids said it cooled their helmets off with the extra layer on top. Just another layer of security.
Another layer on the helmet, Guichet says, adds a layer of confidence in his game.
I thought it might add a little bit more weight to my head and be harder to turn, especially as a quarterback, to like move my head and look across the field. But there hasn't been any problem. But just being able to put it on and like knowing that it's like there, that's what helps.
In August, a parent of a Willow football player emailed Eric Held, the director of the Louisiana High School Coaches Association, with the LHSAA, the entity responsible for regulating high school athletic programs across the state, hoping to clarify whether or not the Lions would be able to wear Guardian caps in games. Held wrote, "While Guardian caps in practice are permissible, in games, helmet manufacturers will tell you that third-party accessories would not be approved because helmets are certified for the helmet only. So it is up to the school to check with their individual helmet manufacturers concerning this." For Coach Smith, that means, unlike NFL players, Guichet and the Lions can't wear Guardian caps once the whistle blows.
We're expecting to wear them, all year. I was trying to think about how we can put our logo on the sides and stuff like that. And then they said we could not wear them during the games and competition.
Anything that would breach that patent or breach that helmet's quality is not something that we make rules for.
During a phone call with Eddie Bonine, the executive director of the LHSAA, he said a decision on Guardian caps isn't up to him, even as the device shows up on national TV at the highest levels.
If it's good enough for the NFL and the NCAA, why is it not good enough for high school players in Louisiana?
Well, good enough or not, that's not, for me, we don't prohibit them from wearing them, nor are we going to tell them that they can wear them. That's got to be a decision made by the school and their manufacturer, because the manufacturer ultimately is responsible for if there's a head injury.
Determined to get the Lions Guardian caps approved, the Willow parent reached out to Rydell, the manufacturer of their SpeedFlex helmets, requesting a letter of compliance that would allow the Willow Lions to use Guardian caps in games. The company responded, Rydell can only suggest that the helmet should be used the way that they are tested and approved by NOCSAE, and as of now, the helmet has only been approved the direct way we make them, without them. We as a company can only okay the way it comes out of here.
We have to stay compliant, and so by wearing those hats, we would be, be out of compliance. So we definitely had to take them off for games. So we wear them during practice, and when game time comes, we take them off.
But during the phone call, Bonine argues the LHSAA never banned wearing Guardian caps as long as they're approved by the manufacturer, clarifying by LHSAA's rules, if Willow is wearing the helmets during practice without approval from Rydell first, it would already make them ineligible for recertification. The LHSAA says in Louisiana, helmets must be recertified under the guidelines of the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment, or NOCSE, every 2 years to ensure they're safe for play.
They can wear them. They're wearing them at practice. So much for the NOCSE seal. Wear them during the game. So somebody, not us, but somebody at the Willow School is making a determination they can't.
Remember that email from LHSAA's Eric Held to the Willow parent? It stated many teams use them in practice. They are permissible. But on the phone call with Bonine, Held jumped in and walked that back, saying it was misinterpreted.
It's the same whether it's practice or game. The NOCSE seal is applicable to both.
There you go.
So by that letter, then they shouldn't be wearing them in practice then, right?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
By that?
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, I got to. Yep, that's according to what I wrote. They just got to check with whoever they get the helmets from.
Effectively, if the Lions want their helmets to remain compliant, they can't use Guardian caps at all.
Why not use it? It's something that's going to add an added layer of protection. It's a no-brainer.
Dr. Good cautions, though, while anecdotally Guardian caps seem like a no-brainer, scientifically, the benefit is yet to be definitive.
They've been studying these Guardian caps for almost 10 years now in the data. And the data, unfortunately, can swing either way. So that's why there's so many narratives out there of it's foolproof, or it's really great, or it doesn't work at all.
I feel like it is kind of harmless. Like I can't really see any way that it could really hurt the players in any way.
Dr. Good says that type of mental reassurance, simply from the perception of added safety, can positively impact athletes.
The Guardian helmets aren't causing harm, correct? There's no studies to say that we have increased risk of injury or by wearing the Guardian helmet.
That's one reason why Joseph is confused by LHSAA's decision.
It feels very strange and it does not follow any logic. So, I'm not going to accuse LHSAA of anything, but it also feels lazy maybe.
Mike Finney, a national sales manager for Guardian Sports, called the LHSAA's requirement of a letter of compliance from Rydell insane. Replying to a parent's email, Rydell is not involved in the rulemaking process, and our Guardian caps do not cause helmets to be decertified, nor do they void warranties.
I think it's actually cruel, and it's just, it's arbitrary. These are children. They're not professionals. They should be given the extra safety layer and protection.
Bonine argues, though, it isn't arbitrary, and while he says he cares about player safety, this decision is based in liability, and right now, at least for teams like Willow, that decision remains with the company that makes the helmets.
I represent this organization is not going to overstep a manufacturer and then at that point voids any warranty on the helmet or equipment just so I'm being attacked, the fact that I don't give a about the safety of athletes. That's wrong. That's not true at all.
But when it comes to the players on the field taking hit after hit, some think the Guardian cap is worth LHSAA making the rule allowing schools to use them instead of letting a manufacturer decide.
I think especially in high school, for sure, like kids should be able to wear them.
I hope somehow there's change that happens, and this interview might help. I don't know, but looking at these kids here, and we have some of the brightest minds in the state out here on this field right here, and we want to protect them.
As Guichet and his fellow Lions prepare for their final few games, their moms and dads still cheer from the stands, despite the ever-present risk of injury. For the parents, a change to a rule targeting safety could make a real difference.
When people realize that this is something that even professional athletes can use, but that their kids are not being allowed to use, it will start to create a conversation and hopefully change that.
Rob Krieger reporting. Guardian disputes Rydell's claims to a parent that its caps could decertify or void the warranty of a helmet. In a statement, Guardian says, since the inception of Guardian caps in 2011, no helmet warranty has been voided to our knowledge. Guardian goes on to say that it guarantees to honor the helmet replacement warranty for any helmet that may be damaged while equipped with a Guardian cap, even if the helmet manufacturer chooses to void that warranty. We reached out to Rydell twice for comment but have not heard back. The High School Athletic Association says 408 school principals from across the state are on the association's rulemaking committee. Bonine says any request for a rule change would need to be written up by one of those principals, and the request would then be considered at the LHSAA annual commission meeting in January. The Guardian Cap CEO says that her company initially set out to make the product not for the NFL, but specifically to protect the brains of young players.
And now she says the LHSAA is allowing her competitors to decide when her product can be used in youth sports.
They're deferring and they're allowing corporate interests to control the narrative, and I don't think that should be their number one priority.
Monday night, in part 2 of Targeting Safety, hear why the head of the LHSAA stands behind the association's stance despite the NFL's decision to embrace this technology.